What's up, friends? Lewis here in the house, late night edition of Nerd Report, as we're gonna update you all with what's going on with the case over there in Idaho, the Idaho 4, the University of Idaho. What is going on with the case? 4 people gone, no suspects, and stuff. And I not only are we gonna go over some things, but I have, just like we did with the Kylie Rodney situation, we are going to have an expert call in. Um, we call him Officer Bob. He has the link. Um, he has the link to call in. So he should be dropping in a little bit. And he's going to be answering a few questions that we have, as we are, we're dumb. Well, at least I am about law, about how it works, man. How how these things are tracked, how they're dealt with, how the internet's dealt with, because there's a lot of people making videos on this, and they're trying to solve the case. Like, how do the investigators deal with this? Now, I'm not saying the person that's calling, our expert knows everything, or everything he says is absolute. So full disclaimer, um, he's working on assumptions as well. But I will say he knows probably more than a lot of us, and that's why I have him here. And I could say that he does know his stuff. So, in opposed to, hold on, let me get this in here. It instead of just like me telling you, hey, this happened here, or whatnot, or this is what I think happened, or this is the way I think it should happen, or this is what the police should be telling the public. Let's ask someone who's kind of like dealt with that, as we await for him to call. In a little bit, we'll have him in here, and then we'll have you all call in as well if you want, and maybe ask a couple questions. And let's get the likes up in here, and stuff. Is we're trying to get the day situated. And who do we have in the house? We have Matthew in the house. We have Brandon. We have Brian. We have D Nice. My name is D Nice. Lisa Boo. Wing Zero. Rita. Did I say Bernadette already? No, I didn't say Bernadette. I looked at Bernadette. Bernadette, I don't know why I look at you and I look at Brandon and I feel it's the same person. Like when I look on that, on the screen. Julie, when I read it, not that you are the same person. And stuff. So Brian, what's up? Benjamin, got a lot of new people. Got 60 people in the house. Just out of curiosity, how did you find out about today's video? Did you get a notification? Is this your first time here? Let me know real quick. And I think we do have Officer Bob in the house, bro. And then I'm gonna ask him a few questions. He's not gonna be showing his face, obviously, because he's not gonna do it. People may, I don't know. Hey, let's just say he's in law enforcement officially, okay? And yeah, that's the way it is. But let's welcome, with no further ado, Officer Bob. How you doing, bro?
Hey, how you doing, man? Good to be
Hey,
back.
welcome back, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude. People really appreciated what you did for us with Kylie Rodney. And after that, I was kind of like, we weren't covering true crime as much, because I felt like I felt hurt with the Kylie Rodney situation, because you got a young, girl, where she's 14. And for some, I was a little bit naive, officer, with like, I felt like we could actually make a difference and have someone found. And it wasn't like that. It was an accident and everything. So I was like, I was a little disappointed with that, and stuff like that. But that's just me personal. But obviously you maybe you could talk a little bit about yourself, but you are in law enforcement.
Yeah. I mean, I think we went over it last time. I'm out here in Southern California.
Yeah.
I've been in law enforcement for approximately 15 years, close to 16 years.
Right.
In my time in law enforcement, I've investigated traffic collision investigations, including fatal traffic collisions. I've investigated DUIs, homicides, suicides, I also was a patrol officer for a handful of years. So I guess I've been around the block a little bit.
That's good. Yeah, and you're a young guy. I could say you're a young guy, and you're a good guy. And like honestly, you're someone I would hang around with. I could tell, and stuff like that. So it's good to have you, because sometimes people. I don't know how long you've been in law enforcement, but people look at officers and they feel like they can't really relate to them. Well, let me tell you, Bob right here, you could relate to, and I think he reflects a lot of the audience here and stuff. So we're gonna get some good opinions. And I just want a disclaimer: it's all an opinion. Um, Obviously, you're in a different city than Idaho, right? You're not in Moscow, so it's gonna be different,
Right.
right? Um, so I know you've studied the case a little bit. We've probably been on it a little lot more than you. But my first question for you is: we got these four university students, right?
Hmm.
Um, I my question is, how is this common, or uh is this just a coincidence, or manifested into a big event, or do these homicides happen more than we want
Uh,
to?
I mean, unfortunately, they do happen in college towns and college cities. I can only speak on, and again, just a disclaimer: I don't have intimate knowledge of this case. I don't work this case. I don't work this area. My insight, expertise, and opinions based solely on um, my training, my experience, and how I proceeded with various investigations that I've handled. So again,
Yes.
I don't have intimate knowledge of this of I don't have any inside sources, nothing like that. But just basically giving an insight of how the investigation works when detectives or investigators are doing a homicide or murder investigation in this part. But the
Correct.
question was, does it happen in like these college towns? Unfortunately, it does. Out here in Southern California, one of our two major universities are UCLA and USC. Um, you don't see a lot of targeted or you can say like serial killer kind of incidents in those college towns. You don't see a lot of that. um, the unfortunate times you do see a homicide or a murder is if it's related to a robbery of a student, which we did have an issue like that a few years
Mm.
back with USC over near South LA. um, but yeah, it's not very common. And so to say that it's it looks like it may be completely random or it's a serial killer or something like that, you don't see that a lot in college towns or universities. Not saying it doesn't happen, and not saying that they aren't easy prey for somebody who feels like they can take advantage of somebody like that. But you don't see a lot of it.
And also, I mean, well, also, like, I don't want to go there, but like, let's be real. It's also the ethnicity, right? Plays into it. I mean, I hate to go that way, but we're all adults here. These
Well,
are blonde girls. They usually get a little bit more attention in the
I'll be
news.
very, yeah, we'll be very honest. Crime rates, homicide rates, and murders are soaring when it comes to South LA, South Central Los Angeles.
Right.
And it doesn't get a lot of media coverage. It doesn't get a lot of news coverage because it's the inner city. But
Yeah.
when you get something like this, which,
It's
again,
Brady, a
you have,
Brady Bunch city.
yeah, you have a town or a city that has never seen this before or has never
15
really
years ago.
experienced this. Yeah. Then yeah, it's going to make headlines.
Yeah. We do have a poll up, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think we'll have some sort of suspect or anything by Christmas? I'm hoping like a little victory for the family. I mean, it's not going to bring the kids back, obviously, but just a little something. And yeah, so I mean, fairly unfairly, like Kylie was blonde, and these ladies are blonde as well, and they all, and I think everyone deserves to have attention put on them, and it's something I'm going to work on as well moving forward. And it's just the reality of things. As people, we just have to work on giving equal attention to everything.
Right.
That's adult speaking, Lewis speaking right here. That if you don't think so, then you're kind of a little bit in denial, in my opinion. But that's fine. Everyone's welcome. So let me ask you, man. These kids, you partied before. I have as well. Coming home 1:30, you're gonna go to the truck, eat some garbage food, because you're hungry from dancing or whatever, and then you walk home, and it's about 3 o'clock. You're sound asleep. This is what happened here, and someone just walks in and does all these things, man. Scale of 1 to 10, how weird does that sound to you as an officer?
Well, I mean, I can tell you from experience, personal experience, even when I was in college. Some of these houses are rented by, especially the housing in and around the universities and colleges. They're owned by by an individual. They don't put a lot of security into these houses, because they're rentals. A student will come in, sign a lease for a year, for the semester, or for the school year, and then they could be within that year they'll be gone. So, or once that lease expires, you're gonna get a new tenant. So a lot of these homes are not don't have high end security. They may not have surveillance cameras or ring cameras, covering windows, doors, back doors, anything like that. So usually they have the bare minimum, and that's just been my experience that I've seen. I don't know how that house was equipped with cameras.
None that we could tell.
Yeah, that's pretty strange.
Weird,
That
right?
that the owner wouldn't install some sort of surveillance cameras.
Because that's our kids, man. They're like the future. They're like, this is obviously the people going there. Parents are paying high bucks to get top education, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, universities are pretty pricey.
Yeah.
They're not inexpensive.
Let me get this right here. Jet, thanks for the comment. Gonzalez is not a white name. Why are we making it racial? That's a good question. I'm not making it racial. But why does the media make it racial where some people that get attention when something bad happens to them and others don't?
Well, I think
Gonzalez is not a Latin name. Sorry.
It's the optics. I think it's the optics of you look at four kids, young kids, who were brutally murdered. They plaster the image on the on your news feed or your television, and that's the first thing we see is young white kids who were brutally murdered in such a fashion, and to be murdered in that fashion, that's extremely personal. It's very personal to be murdered in that way or to be assaulted in that way.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, we got officer, because some people please get the wax out of your ears. Yo, this is real. We got Officer Bob in the house. I'm asking him simply why he thinks that some cases get more attention than others. And they do. And if you live in like the planet Oz or something and you don't think so, come on, man. They do. Some cases get more attention than others. Officer, now I'm going to ask you, how many people go missing? How many kids go missing in South Central?
Daily. There are kids
stop
who
right
go
there,
missing daily.
Sir, stop right there. People who say that I'm making this racial, could you please name one that's missing? You can't. So I'm just saying that. And I'm the last person. I don't want to bring the racial element in it, but let's be real. Okay, let's just be real. Why? So let's improve on that. And I'm sure no one in here is trying to ignore other cases. I'm not. But we got to move forward and help everyone. That's all I'm saying. But I'm sure someone will comment, why am I making it racial again? Anyways, officer, sorry about that.
That's all good.
Anyways, Yeah, man. So yeah, daily at least one child goes missing in South Central.
Well, and what I want to, and just for clarification, some are runaways, some
Yeah.
are those who yeah, they'll run away, and statistically, missing person reports are made. I will say about 85% of the time they're located within the next 24 to 48 hours. They'll come home. But on the daily, there are kids who go missing, teenagers, high school girls, and sometimes they're caught up in sex trafficking. Sometimes
Mm.
they're caught up in their own vices, whether it be addiction or the choices that are destructive in their lives. But on the daily, yeah, they're every day there's uh, children that are reported missing in South LA.
Margaret has a great point, and this is very articulate, Margaret. This is something that I wanted to say, and I just couldn't get it out right now. But the media wants to ignore inner city crimes. They won't ever cover them because it doesn't fit their narrative, or it doesn't get them views, clicks, and monetization. And so that's what I'm saying. And so let's improve on that. Let's give everyone something, because these are kids that and officer, it pisses me off so much just thinking that they went to go and get an education to become better citizens, to better themselves, to have a good life, and this is what happens. So have you noticed as of late, because there's this true crime community on YouTube, that citizens try to interfere with like cases and stuff like that?
It we've all there's always been, even before the internet was a major thing. There's always been some form of partnership with the community as far as assisting with investigations, whether it's like a 1-800 tip line, or a phone number that's established for the general public to assist investigators with any clues or any tips that they may have. um, what and A lot of it is unfounded. Some of it is just misinformation. There was always a degree of intentional misinformation, just to you know kind of be an ass, I guess.
Yeah.
um but it's magnified when you have somebody that now has a platform,
Yeah.
and purposely maliciously gives a false narrative or a false statement, to, I guess, enhance their viewership. That's when it does become an issue. Um, for law enforcement, we try to just basically stick to the clues and stick to the facts, because in the end, all we are fact finders. We're looking for facts and evidence. That's all we're looking for.
But how do you know what's a fact or fiction? Because, dude, they just reported that the Moscow Police Department has received over 1,000 tips.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been a thing when the community reaches out, and again, sometimes it's misinformation. Well, most of the time it's misinformation. Sometimes it's information that people really think that it is true, and their intention is to be helpful. There's no maliciousness involved in it.
During the
Um,
Ky- during the Kylie Rodney situation, we did have someone call in, and I fully disclaimed it, like, and because I couldn't prove anything. But the lady seemed sincere. She said she saw them right in LA, and I still, to this date, I kind of feel like she thinks she did. Um, but she was ridiculed and stuff for stepping up. That's one thing I found, is like the police ask for clues, and a lot of people, like, they get ridiculed when they call in and step up with clues, which is very, very frustrating. Everyone, I'm dropping in the link to call in. We have an expert. If you guys want to ask how these cases are dealt with, Officer Bob does not work in Moscow. I will disclaim that. But there should be a little bit of a similarity on how cases are dealt with, especially when you work with law enforcement. There's a formula to it that may be similar to that area. I think I could speak for the officer here, he doesn't know any facts. He's basing everything on opinions. Please don't say that Nerd Report said this. Although I noticed that people want to hear what they want to hear, but I'm just saying that these are all facts. And it's like, I feel that having a law enforcement person here is much better than me just saying, well, I think the guy, the camera is saying this, or this guy did that. I think it brings more credit to this video right here. So Bob, I want to thank you for coming in again, as we have Julie in the house. What's up, Julie?
Hi, Lewis. How are you? Nice to hear from you again, Officer Bob.
Hi, Julie.
Hi.
Do you have a question for Bob? I know you must.
I do. Yeah, I do actually. I don't know how much you have been following this case or not, but the parents have been speaking out quite a lot in the media, and they're giving information that they received from the coroner's office and the captain that's in charge. So my question to you is, does this hinder the investigation by the parents speaking, giving out facts that they have been told?
So it does, to a degree. Now, we do take into consideration whatever we tell somebody, for the most part, that is not involved in our investigation. As an investigator, as a detective, I'll have a partner. My partner and I are the one who's going to, work a case, work an investigation. And then of course we do have a supervising detective who oversees our work. And then our supervising detective has a lieutenant detective who oversees that person's work. So it goes through many channels. It's not just, like you might see on TV, it's just one detective hammering it all out. It doesn't work that way. But for the most part, whenever we give information to a family member or somebody related to the incident, our expectation is that it's probably going to get out. So for the most part, we're not going to give intimate knowledge of a portion of the investigation that we really want to keep secretive to maintain the integrity of the investigation. So at the same point, I don't know what the relationship is between the parents and the investigators at this point. So unless maybe they might have told him, because I've had that personal experience where I've given information to a parent regarding an incident, and I asked them not to convey that to anyone else and to keep it to themselves, and it still got out. So whenever information is given to a parent or a loved one or somebody that's closely related to that person involved, there's a level of expectation that it probably is going to be shared or released. And if it's intimate knowledge that an investigator did not want out there, it can absolutely hinder and ruin the integrity of your investigation. And let me give you this quick example.
Yeah, go for it, bro.
So Louis, you'll remember we're probably about the same age. We were both kids when this happened. The Night Stalker. Back in the
Richard
80s.
Ramirez.
Yep.
Richard Ramirez. And if no one has ever seen that documentary about Richard Ramirez, please, by all means, it's a great, fantastic documentary. Or if you read the book by Gil Carrillo, who was the lead detective. This was back in the 80s. That investigation was almost completely blown because they had shoe prints of Richard Ramirez. And they had and Richard Ramirez had traveled to Northern California, San Francisco area. He had murdered somebody up there. And the detectives shared the information with San Francisco PD about the shoe prints. And they said, hey, we have matching shoe prints. We know it's the same guy. Well, the mayor at the time, her name is Dianne Feinstein. She found out and she leaked it. Well, she didn't leak it, but she made a press conference and said, we have shoe prints now. So Richard Ramirez ultimately finds out that, damn, they have my shoe prints, and he changed his shoes for the most part. So that is 100% factual. It was a giant miscommunication between LA County sheriffs and San Francisco PD, and they were both pissed off at each other. And but ultimately the mayor at the time in the 80s, Dianne Feinstein, she did release that information. So just keep in mind, there is information there's always information that an investigator or detective is going to hold on to that just doesn't want to get out because it's the integrity of his or her investigation.
That story just blows my mind.
Yeah, well, no, we can't speak we can't speak bad about them because
Yeah.
yeah.
I know.
Guys, I'm dropping the link in the comments for you all to call in. As you can see, Officer Bob right here, like he's dropping the knowledge, man, and that's a real big thing. I don't have a problem with saying, "Hey, man, I need guests in here that know more than I do." So that's a good thing I think about Nerd Report. And also, don't forget, we're 50 away from reaching 50K, and it's like pulling teeth, guys. So if you guys want more guests here, more expert advice, you guys want more participation, hook us up, man. Tell a friend, share this video. And also, I understand that Hyundai, is that what the white one?
Yes, sir.
Elantra
Yes.
is the car that got it's a car of interest, according to the sheriffs or the investigators. They found a car. Please send me that video on my Twitter at NerdLecca, Twitter at NerdLecca. Send me that video. I'll play it. I did see that early on the Pascal show, and I would be more than happy to run it here. I just couldn't really find it. That brings my next question to you, officer, is so one thing that happened here, from my understanding, the crime happened within the hours of I guess 2 to 4. Some people say like 3:30ish, 3:50. There were a few officers in the area that spoke to, I guess, underage drinkers, and they had their body cams on. Now, I guess they have them. They had them all. Cops have them on all the time, and what they notice is a white. What is it? What was the car?
Hyundai Elantra.
Hyundai Elantra. This is the same one people are asking about. That's the car of interest. Now, as far as that happening, have you seen anything like that? That the body cams have to get all looked at, hours and hours of looking to see what's going on in the background. They're questioning these kids, but meanwhile, now you have to get all the police officers' body cams and look at who's parked behind them. Is there anyone walking suspiciously behind them? People of interest. Have you ever walked into a situation like that or seen it?
Oh yeah, the body cams. Well, just some insight into body cams. Body cams on officers and deputies and troopers. They are constantly recording. So they're constantly recording, and the cameras are on. However, they're not activated until most department policies state that when you're conducting an investigation or you're in contact with a person, you then activate your body cam. So once the body cam is activated, it's going to go back. For some departments, it's going to vary. So I can only speak on certain departments. For some departments, that body cam is going to play back up to 30 seconds, a minute to 2 minutes of unrecorded audio, but you're going to have the video, if you get what I mean. Because that thing is always recording. Once you activate that body cam, you push the little button that activates the recording. It's going to go back and give you up to 30 seconds, 1 minute, or 2 minutes, depending on what the department's policy is, of recorded video, just no audio. The audio doesn't kick in till that officer, till that deputy or trooper activates the body cam. So whenever you're conducting an investigation, you absolutely 100% do review the body cam of officers who are in the area. And that goes with any surveillance cameras, any surveillance footage from neighboring houses, neighboring businesses. All that stuff absolutely comes into play. So there is, and I see it all the time, an investigator or a detective is sitting there at their desk with headphones on, just staring intently at the video screen, watching camera footage.
This is a great question by True Crime. Was it Tracy? Nice. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. I don't recall you being here, but welcome everyone who's new. She's asking, may I ask the officer? Of course you can. And I was actually thinking of this, Officer Bob. Has he ever worked? Have you ever worked on a case that has been slewed by the YouTube creators and gotten any relevant info from it? If so, for example, I think let me rephrase that a little bit. Has anyone on the internet cracked a case? And that's what I was thinking too earlier as I'm looking, because I'm a big fan of other YouTubers as well, especially if they're talking about this. And I was like, am I really here to crack the case? I don't feel I can, officer. I feel like I could bring awareness, but I think this entire situation is intriguing. And I also feel like maybe the only thing we can offer here on Nerd Report is look around yourself, be aware of your surroundings, have a camera, watch who your friends are, watch who you hang around with. But as far as like solving this case, I don't think we can. I mean, I'm just trying to be real, guys. But have you seen anyone solve the case from the internet?
I haven't seen it directly. However, I will say I was involved in it. It's actually in December of 2016, and I don't really want to name names, but it happened, and it's funny. So it was December of 2016. It was very cold, and I was training a probationer or a new officer at the time, and we had just got out of roll call. All I wanted to do was get a cup of coffee and start my night, and it became a missing person into a homicide investigation where the individual had struck her over the head multiple times with a hammer, killed her in his car. And I always think it would be a really good true crime story because it's actually very intriguing how everything happened. But I will say that was solved with participation from the family, because the family was really on it. The unfortunate thing was the incident started over the weekend, and to be very frank and very honest, detectives don't work on the weekends. You have one night watch detective who will work over the weekend, but that's one detective, and that individual usually works from about 4 p.m. to about 2 a.m. So, and they're there for, reference for officers if they need help with something, or writing a search warrant, or, if there's an investigation that takes a little bit more in depth from a patrol officer. But the detective squad usually carries regular banking hours, like 8 a.m. to, 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. But that particular incident, it was mostly solved, I would have to say, due to the participation of the family. So, but it was very, I'll never. Well, that's really one of those things that's never going to leave me. It's going to stick with me forever.
I have a question.
Big Bad and Buffoon, I believe is the name, actually was driving around, and found, big evidence for Gabby Petito, when they drove by the actual van, that Brian Laundrie's van. So that was like something they broke. They solved that, but well, they didn't really solve it. They kind of gave law enforcement.
Well, they stumbled on it. They stumbled upon it.
Yeah, it was a stumble. It was a stumble, but because and
it was great that they had their camera rolling. I mean, what's really changed now for officers and detectives and deputies and state troopers, what's really helped now is everybody has a camera, whether it's a forward-facing camera in their car, whether it's their Ring or their Nest cameras on their homes.
Yeah, not in Moscow though, bro.
Yeah, that's
it's very weird. It's very weird. Very weird. There's no cameras anywhere, and I'm like, if you look around, it's like that's the future of everybody. That this should be the most protected people are the kids going to school, attending school, college, grammar school, high school, whatever it is. It's a big, that's the investment for the future of the city, the town, America. And I don't know why there wasn't any cameras. It's very strange. Julie?
Officer Bob, one of the families hired not just an attorney, but they hired a private investigator. What's your feelings on that?
It's hard. I've never really dealt with private investigators in that sense. If I'm running an investigation and I have a private investigator who's running their parallel investigation, for the most part, it's going to be separate. Police are absolutely 100% not going to share their information with a private investigator. They absolutely will not. However, be mindful that when law enforcement is conducting an investigation, they have to be very by the book when it comes to homicides. Well, not just homicides, but any investigation, because if they do anything outside of the law or outside of the scope of their duties, it can jeopardize a future prosecution. So for us, it may take a little longer. It may seem like it's not going anywhere. But we have to be 100%, by the book when we're conducting an investigation, because what we're looking at is not only solving the case, but looking at, especially in something like this, looking at future prosecution and ultimately a conviction of the individual.
Can they also
or individuals? We don't know.
Can a private investigator also taint potential witnesses?
If they're running a parallel investigation and trying to encroach in any way on a department's investigation, yeah, there is a possibility that they could hamper or even slow down the department's investigation.
Thank you.
Have you ever had someone that's like, okay, so we know parents, they lose someone and they're not thinking right, and it's fully understandable. Julie brought up the parents here. One of the parents hired a private investigator. He's going around doing interviews. He's kind of going rogue and stuff. Have you ever encountered someone like that that's like probably going to blame the police first? And look, I can't criticize them. I can't be mad at them personally, but what's the procedure if like you guys are on something and there's like a parent just, is overstepping?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I couldn't imagine losing my kids in that fashion at all. I mean, I just couldn't imagine it. So that I can't put myself in their shoes and say, well, I would do this or I would handle like this. I really don't know how I would handle it. I would probably be frustrated. And to be honest, I've been the victim of a crime. I've been a victim of a burglary. I had
oh boy, have you?
I had my
several
storage unit
times
broken into. So I do know what it feels like, and even when I'm not working, I'm just the civilian guy, and I have to adhere to the same laws that everyone else does. When an outside agency is handling an investigation that I'm the victim of, so part of us wants to say be vindictive and vigilante-esque and say this is what I would do, but at the same time, I would hope that cooler heads would prevail and we would just let it take its course as it should. But I completely understand the frustration. I totally get the frustration, and I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. And sometimes there's times where we go home knowing like, shit, I can't give them the answer they want right now. I'm just not at that place to do it. So yeah, I mean, you try not to take it home, but it gets to you.
Do you ever feel like it's unreasonable, the information you're holding back? Like, let's just say, like we could have told them this, but for some reason, the people in charge don't want to share that information with the family. Do you ever feel like there's no real reason to hold back this little nugget?
it again, it falls back on the integrity of your investigation.
Yeah.
You don't want it to get out there. You could, there's times where you're following a lead and you believe this is gonna, get me to the end result of where this investigation is headed. And then it just takes a left turn and you're like, oh shit, I was wrong. Now we have to go in this avenue and look down this way. So, yeah, I mean, you don't also want to give the family and loved ones false hope, because again, it's an active and fluid investigation. So you don't want to give them a false sense of this is where we're going, but unfortunately now, yeah, that's hit a dead end. I now have to start all over.
Guys, we're having a poll right now to see like if you think the family will have some sort of suspect or some information like that will be revealed by Christmas. Feel free to vote in the poll. Also, on the very top, if you choose to support the channel, just go a little bit more than just subscribing. There are links there. It's via Linktree. You can find our PayPal, Cash App, or if you just want to be the first super chat of the night, that would be amazing to keep the heater on because it's cold in LA right now. But Julie, I appreciate everyone's support just for being here. 50 away from 50K. Julie, take it over.
No, I really would like to hit that 50 tonight and celebrate, but keeping my fingers crossed. Officer Bob, oh gee whiz, my brain just went dead.
Your brain fart?
My brain just went dead. It's all your fault, Lewis. I'm gonna have to pivot to a different question.
Well, also my question also for the chat: what city are you guys watching from? And I'm very curious to know where are you listening from? Like, is it your car? What's up? Hey, what's up, Boston Nick? Thank you for being the first super chat. We would love. Oh man, bada bing, Lewis. Thank you, Boston Nick. MMA, you've been always supporting this channel you've been here for a long time, bro. So hearts for Boston Nick for supporting today's stream. It's gonna go to supporting the studio and keeping the lights on and getting good equipment and just like just keeping the ball rolling as we have Officer Bob here. Man, he's expensive.
Yeah. Okay, well then I'm going to get our money's worth out of him.
No, hey, full disclosure, Officer Bob is he's here, he's not getting paid, he's doing it for free, and he knows his shit. I'm just telling you right now. Okay, go for it.
You did it to me again, Lewis. He cuts me off all the time, Officer Bob, and then I lose my train of thought. But no, seriously, I do remember what I wanted to ask you. In a case of this magnitude, would you say, because I get it, the parents want answers, they want someone caught now. They want it done a month ago. I get it. But in a case of this magnitude, is it unusual that we've gone this long without having a suspect in custody?
Well, what's key is, and I know there's a television series about it called The First 48. Yes, your first 48 hours are very important. That's when you're going to gather your most evidence. That's when you're going to process your crime scene. That's where, you're going to collect your evidence, process your crime scene, send it off to your labs, and pull fingerprints, get DNA, all those things. Pull your surveillance footage. So your 48-hour window is extremely important when you're handling an investigation like this. Not saying that they won't be able to still obtain, evidence leading to a suspect or suspects, but it does become a little harder and a bit more complicated as time does go on. But like I said, your 48-hour window is always very important to process your crime scene and make sure, most importantly, is that your scene isn't tainted or you don't have cross-contamination. That it's very important that your crime scene is preserved when your scientific units come in and obtain the evidence for you. Just as, and let me explain this as well. It's Moscow, Idaho, correct? Yes,
Correct.
that's okay. So I've never in my life heard of Moscow, Idaho. Never heard of it
Same.
until this incident. So let me just explain for a lot of departments, and I think I might have mentioned this last time I was on with you. A lot of departments, these small agencies, are not or don't have the experience of handling a 4-person homicide. They don't have that, they just don't
Yeah.
have that experience. And it's not that they're bad officers or bad detectives. It's just that you just don't have that experience in doing that. Living in a metropolitan area like we do, where we unfortunately see crime scenes of this nature, we understand how to process a crime scene. We understand the integrity of your scene, and not cross contaminating your evidence. And let me even backtrack to LAPD. Well, again, we're going to touch on the 90s with O.J. Simpson, and one of the major problems that they had with that crime scene. That crime scene was handled by LAPD, but it was handled by a division that does not see a lot of homicides. That was the West LA division, because the incident occurred in West LA, which is an affluent area in the LA area. You have Bel Air, you have Hollywood, you have the Hollywood Hills. So they didn't see a lot of violent crime. So when they processed or when they arrived at that crime scene, there was a lot of cross contamination, and that that investigation was hampered by, like I said, the cross contamination, and just trying to get everything figured out once they were there. So that could be something that could also delay an investigation if a department does not have experience with handling these type of incidents. It just comes down to training and experience that they just are not equipped to handle it. That's all it is.
Well, what's weird is, like, when you say California, you'd expect anywhere in California to be kind of, how would I say, better equipped, better, have more knowledge, be better experienced than Moscow, Idaho. With Kylie Rodney, it was Truckee, correct? It was a while back, but they were so bad with their press conferences, man. Like, literally, their signal will go in and out in the middle of their stream. And right here in Moscow, their signal is perfect. Like, the way they're conducting their stuff is very professional. So I do give them props for that. But I want to ask you a question, because we've seen press conferences with these type of situations before. And so there's a press conference, you got the officer saying, "Give yourself up. We will find you. It's a matter of time." That's one approach. Then you got, man, I don't even know what the Kylie Rodney, they looked all lost, bro, honestly. But then you got this approach over here in Moscow, who's kind of like, the officers are very like calm and nice and very passive. Is that by design, or is that just the way their personalities are? What do you think?
I mean, it could be just in the personality and the delivery of how they handle their press conference. Some divisions, or some departments, I'll say, some departments, their media relations is like one officer, and the officer handles all the media relations. They'll handle social media. They'll handle writing press conferences, or writing public statements. Some departments, like LA County sheriffs, have a massive division of multiple officers, a handful of sergeants, and a lieutenant who oversee that stuff. Same with a large department like LAPD. They have a huge media center that they utilize as well. And then other areas in Southern California also, it may be one or two officers. So it's hard to say, with how they run their press conferences or their media relations groups. But yeah, it's just hard to put get a total beat on how they present their media relations and their press conferences.
Let's run this video real quick. It's a little bit of an update, tips and leads into the University of Idaho murders. It's where is it? Local News 8, ABC, and it kind of goes into the surveillance camera. And I do want to ask you a question about the surveillance camera. after this. But it's not all the surveillance camera we had, but we'll get into it. But let's check out this video.
Whitworth shows us new audio and video of two of the victims captured just hours before the killings.
New video possibly shedding light on what took place just hours before 4 University of Idaho students were murdered in their beds. ABC News.
This video is new. I guess they're walking to the food truck. And we thought these two were like alone, just walking together. And now we find out there was a guy with them. And here we go.
Obtaining the surveillance footage, Kaylee Gonzalez's father says it shows her and Madison Mogan walking down Main Street in Moscow, Idaho, with a man whom police have confirmed is not a suspect. Their conversation caught on camera.
What did you say to Adam? I told Adam everything.
Okay, so the conversation there is, what did you say to Adam? And then the other one goes, I told Adam everything. And apparently, I don't know for a fact, Adam's probably the bartender that from the bar they came from. But what's crazy here is I'm not sure if the guy walking with him was the guy that she told point blank F you, during the truck that we're ordering food. And then that some guys seemed to, as they left, follow them and then decide not to follow them. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if that guy is a suspect or not, or if he has anything to do with it. Probably not. But officer, they cleared a lot of people quickly, like almost too quickly. Do you think it's worth, do you think it's too fast, like to the next day to say, hey, these people that were walking with them, they're not guilty of anything or they're not a suspect?
It could be that it's a ruse, that maybe they are being
monitored,
or still closely investigated.
That's what I think. Yeah.
To protect their investigation. So it's hard to say, because here's another thing. The internet is going to blow up with, oh, well, I saw this video and who's this guy, and and who's she talking about in this video. So with the internet the way it is, all these questions are going to start to arise. So I don't know. This is something that one who has intimate knowledge of the investigation would ultimately have the answer on. Like I said, it could be a ruse, and that they're still investigating the individual, and they don't want to scare him off and say he's a person of interest, because if someone did something and I find out I'm a person of interest when I know I committed a crime, I'm getting the hell out of here, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So,
Julie, any thoughts?
I do. I was gonna pivot to the car, but Officer Bob just said something. You said he. I guess it's safe, or is it not safe, to assume that the perpetrator is a male, considering the type of weapon that was used. And I would imagine it took great force to do what was done to these 4 kids.
To be clear, officer.
I was referring to the video as the he in that sense.
I see.
Yeah, but to be clear, officer, I don't know if you know, but people think that, or speculation is, it was a knife similar to the one Rambo uses in First Blood Part 2. And I don't know. I spoke to you a little bit earlier before we started this stream, and I did mention that I feel you need skill, because I'm sure you've seen this before. People think when you use a knife, it's like Michael Myers, you stab down, and a lot of people get their fingers cut off and everything like that. There's a skill to stabbing. There's a skill to knife fighting, or attacking someone with a knife. It's military skill. It's what do you think? Does it look like this person knew what they were doing?
Well, number one, I haven't seen autopsy photos, because that's going to give you an indication of how they were struck.
Okay.
Are they slashes? Are they puncture wounds? Are they gashes? These are all identifying in a homicide report on whether or not you have a puncture wound, a slash wound. So I haven't seen them. the other thing, the only thing that I've read is that it was a fixed blade. So a fixed blade can be any type of knife. It can be a knife, your standard kitchen knife. It can be a anything that has a blade that is fixed to a handle that doesn't retract. That's going to be considered a fixed blade. And what I have seen in stabbings that I have investigated is the person who does the stabbing many times will have a small, gouge or something indicating that their hand was cut as well.
Yeah.
Because what happens is when someone stabs someone, especially when it's multiple times, and I hate to make it sound very graphic, but when someone's bleeding and they're bleeding a lot, you get a coagulated blood. So it's not like you see in the movies where it's just gonna, seep out. What happens is when somebody starts to really bleed out, the blood becomes coagulated. And it's very slippery. So your grip is gonna kind of shift when you're holding that handle, unless you have a substantial handle guard. But if you're just grabbing like a kitchen knife or any type of regular knife and you're stabbing someone out of, with malicious intent, recklessly, there's a good chance that you're going to have some type of wounds on your hands as well.
I went to, Florentine Gardens in Hollywood, correct?
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's still there. So that place kind of like sometimes there's like, guys get into fights there. There was an incident where there was a fight and one guy pulled out a knife and stabbed at the guy holding it like, holding their hand like tight and then like stabbing down, and it hit the guy on the collarbone. And what happened was it got stuck on the bone, and then the knife cut the guy's fingers off. The guy that was trying to stab. So it was very funny because F you, don't try to stab someone, but there's a skill to it. You catch my drift? Like they were trying to do the Michael Myers stab, like stab down, like that shit don't work, bro. You know what I mean? So the guy's like was trying to find his finger on the floor. He had like 3 fingers on the floor. It was nasty, man. It was nasty. So my thing is, I feel like, and also, officer, like being used to blood, like, have you ever? I'm just hypothetically speaking. Has anyone ever hit someone and make their nose bleed, and then gone, "Oh, I'm sorry," like in a fight? Like I've seen that. Like when you see blood, you feel bad for the person, and for whoever did it, like they did it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. That spells experience. And the police did say this is not something you should be worried about, but I'm sorry, it is. And it spells a serial killer. Like not serial killer, but a mass murderer, to me. Julie, what do you think?
I agree, Lewis. I mean, to say don't worry. Hi, Will. Nice to see you. I think is ludicrous because of the fact that we don't know who this individual is. We don't know. I mean, because one minute they said they were targeted, then they walked that back and said, no, they weren't targeted. Then it was the house that was targeted. So nobody knows. So there's a killer walking around loose. So I think that, people need to be very concerned about this. Not sure if this is an isolated incident or not. Officer Bob, do you think that this is possible, that it's someone that had tendencies early on and progressed to this level?
That's really hard to say. I can't even speculate on it, or it's hard to say because as I've always seen, when someone is stabbing someone, that's very close. You're close to the person. It's almost like a personal thing if you stab someone. The stabbings that I've investigated, they've usually been between family members.
Wow.
I had one where a son stabbed his father right in the chest
Ouch.
and caught him in the heart, and the father unfortunately passed running out of the house and passed away on the right there on the lawn. So it's usually, and the word can be used, it's intimate in that it's somebody that that really wants to do harm, because that's, like I said, it's an intimate way to kill somebody when you're stabbing them.
Mm.
So that's been my experience. I'm not saying that it's 100% true all the time. We recently saw in Las Vegas the homeless individual who stabbed the young lady and then stabbed 5 other people and killed 2 of them just out in the street, had some type of breakdown and stabbed 5 people and killed 2 of them. So sometimes it can be just the tool that's used because that's all that they have, or it can be something of something where it's personal and the intent is to murder them.
Well, we do have one of the victims did get, and Glaire's comes on in here. And stay on, Glaire. I want to ask a question that has something to do with you. So keep listening, please. Kaylee Gonzalez, apparently her dad hinted that the way she was attacked was more brutal, was more aggressive than the rest of the people, leading people to think that she may have been the main target. Does that sound like something to you? Like if one person out of the 4 is a little bit more like, almost like the murderer was more hateful towards her than anyone else. That's kind of a clue, right?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the number of stab wounds, and overall, is there additional trauma to the body, such as maybe punches, kicks, strikes, or I'll say blunt force trauma? Is there blunt force trauma in addition to punctures or slashes with a knife? So yeah, you could look at it. That's something that's going to be part of the investigation, as far as were the other individuals who were sleeping, and I hate to say it in this way, but are they collateral damage, so to speak? Are they just innocent bystanders that just happen to be there, and the individuals who committed the murder or individual just decided to take out their rage on them as well?
Hold on, Brian. It's all speculation. We're not involved with the case. We're just we're reporting, like talking about what's been reported officially to the best of our ability. But if you want people that make up shit, I heard Ryan Upchurch is back at it talking about Kylie Rodney. So go over there. I don't want to make up shit. I'd be at 250,000 subs if I Jim Morrised it and stuff, but I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to do that. Yeah, we're all guessing. And the car they found, I don't know if it has anything to do with it. I'm looking at a lot of people are asking me to report on stuff that I don't even see officially reported and stuff like that. So yeah, we don't know shit, honestly. And you don't know shit either. Which now, since we're talking about Kylie Rodney, I have a question, officer, because earlier today, we're speculating based on facts. And I'm trying to do it too, because there's stuff I don't know everything. We don't know everything, but I have a question. Is there a way to find out if a case is still open on something?
Great question.
Wait,
guys, stay up for this, because there's a follow-up.
All police reports are a matter of public record. So what
could you find out something for me?
Could I find out something for you?
Yes, I want to find out, because Ryan Upchurch went on Glaire's channel. Glaire right here, our Dominican, right here, he's on. And he claims that the case and I've been hearing this a lot, that the Kylie Rodney case is still open. And I couldn't find it anywhere. I'm not saying he's lying, but I'm wondering.
Yeah,
Mhm.
what you'd have to do is you'd have to contact. I don't know what county it is.
Okay, if I
We're-
find that out for you, could you send me the correct direction and I'll try to see it? Because I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm hearing that that case is still open. Is there a rule maybe that after something happens that they have to they still have to leave a case open for 3 months after or something like that that I don't know of before they've
well,
because it was ruled an accident, right?
well, my understanding was that it was ruled an accident. I know there was toxicology done. She was found to be
Who
inebriated or
did
with
who did the
alcohol.
toxicology?
It would be the coroner in that county.
Who reported this information? The sheriffs, correct?
I believe it was the sheriffs. Yeah.
Well, it was the sheriffs, and then Ryan over there is saying the cops. I want to hear the cops say it. And it's like, yeah, it's a sheriff, and like as far as I'm concerned, sir, officer, is a sheriff considered a cop?
Sheriffs has the same police. Well, let me explain.
They're a police and a cop, right? That's like an authority in law, right?
So
Law enforcement.
the way you can look at it as, so let's look at LA. Let's just take a look at Los Angeles. You have LA County. LA County is a giant area in the metropolitan Southern California area. LA County is huge. Within LA County, you have multiple cities. You have City of Industry where Frankensons is. You have City of Los Angeles. You have Pomona. You have West Covina. You have all these other cities. So all these smaller cities or larger cities, they all basically play in LA County. So LA County sheriffs have full police powers, the same as West Covina Police Department does, or Pomona PD does, or Los Angeles Police Department does. They all have the same police powers to enforce laws, to make an arrest. They all have the same police powers.
Well, there are people claiming that okay, so from what I understand, the sheriffs via a press release backed up the claim about the toxicology and how it was an accident. That is as good as a police officer saying it, correct?
Yes, it's the same. The only reason that the sheriffs are saying it more than likely is because it happened in their area. So they were probably I don't know, again, I don't live up that way. They probably were the primary investigative department, along with, some other helpful, I think FBI got involved, if I'm not mistaken, in just in the missing person portion of it. But it sounds like it was their handle, their case, and ultimately, yeah, they made that determination that it was an accident. So yes, it doesn't matter if it's
I want to know.
It doesn't matter.
I will do the research and see if I can find it if it's still open, because I do hear that from people, and from my knowledge, it's not. And from my knowledge, and I do believe it was an accident, and it's unfortunate because I feel that she was too young to be hanging around older people like that, even though she was smarter. She's an advanced person. Maybe with it was schooling, but not with life experience. And the whole situation is fucked. But yeah, I just want to know if it is open, and so we'll get on that, officer, as we talk about the Idaho 4 and stuff like that. So what do you think, dude? Do you think this is a month? Do you think it's gonna go cold, or no way of knowing?
There's no way of knowing. It's hard because, like I said, this is a small agency. What I did read was that they were already running out of money for their budget, and they asked, I believe, the state if they would grant them, a couple $100,000 to cover overtime expenses, to cover lab expenses. So again, this is probably a department that is not used to handling this type of investigation. And even for any metropolitan department, a 4-person homicide is a major investigation. That's kind of like a all hands on deck. kind of thing when you have a homicide. And let alone 4 people who were stabbed. So it's a lot for any department. But my assumption, and from what it sounds like and everything I read about this city and the town and the department, is that it's not a very big department. So they're having to utilize additional resources and requesting extra funds to get the keep the investigation on its keep it rolling, so to speak.
Just a heads up, Julie. You're banging your mic, so it's coming out like it's okay. Just don't hit the mic.
Okay.
And you'll be good. No, you could talk.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, you could talk loud. You're not.
Okay, it's about the car. Officer Bob, they have been, I don't know, it's maybe two or 3 weeks now. They've been looking for this white Hyundai Elantra, 2011 to 2013. Okay, the population of this town is 35,000, and by my standards, that's considered a small town.
Mhm.
So if it was anybody within the town, everyone knows, practically everyone. I mean, someone who had a white Hyundai Elantra, don't you think if somebody would say, well, that's my car, and come forward, or somebody would say, well, my neighbor drives a car like that. I mean, nobody is saying anything about this car, which leads me to believe that it's not someone within Moscow, but outside of Moscow. And am I incorrect in thinking that you can't go, like, can you go through DMV records to see who owns a car like that within that area?
Oh yeah, you absolutely can. You'll have to get an affidavit requesting DMV records. And I can talk about our department or our areas in Southern California. There's whether you like it or not, whether you call it Big Brother, there's multiple license plate readers in and around Southern California. And they specifically work for incidents like this. It's hard to say how they're progressing with that car, because I did read that they've known about this Hyundai Elantra for, I think, from the beginning of the investigation, that this car was a vehicle of interest, and they just recently now are reaching out to the public saying, hey, if you have any insight, any information about this white Hyundai that was seen cruising around at approximately 0300 hours and 0345 hours, please contact us. So my thought would be, maybe they were holding on to this information about the vehicle, believing that it was gonna give them or lead them, to some substantial evidence, and ultimately it hasn't. So now they're reaching out to the public. But the scrutiny that I read was that, why did they hang on to it for so long when they could have, reached out to the public, maybe in the last couple of weeks, instead of, it going into the 3rd week of the investigation.
So a car was found, not the car, and it was crashed. I did see that on a prior stream over there with Pascal, but I don't know if it's even the car, man. I don't even know if it's the right
yeah,
car.
We're not going to speculate on something that
I mean, we'll mention it. We'll mention it. I mean, and that's a tough thing, I don't mind mentioning it, but like getting into like, over harping on it. I do think, like, if there's a guy at the food truck there, talking to them, and that's the last time we saw him, that's worth a mention. Stuff like that. But finding a car, like, I don't know, not yet. Plus it felt like the cops were kind of downplaying it at one point. I almost was under the impression it was an Uber. Maybe someone used an Uber. I don't know.
Right.
So, and then maybe they had information with it. Hey, everyone, just a quick announcement. We're almost at 300 people watching. Thank you so much, because this is an unconventional stream. It's late night. We decided to do this stream. I hope you're enjoying it. We have an expert here, Officer Bob, who will not reveal himself because we don't want to dox him, ladies and gentlemen. But he knows this stuff. He's been hanging around investigators. He's still working with that, law enforcement. And my thought and Julie's thought and a few people that work here on Nerd Report's thought is he knows better, even though it's a different location. He's not from Moscow, Idaho or anything, but law enforcement, sometimes they have the similar procedures. So everything he says is speculation. He's guessing as well. We don't know everything. None of us know everything that's going on. We can only go with what the news is telling us. And of course, we'll touch upon the car missing and stuff like that, and why there were no cameras, which is weird, and stuff like that. But guessing and blaming, that's not our beat here. And if you like that, we're 30 away from 50K.
Are we really, Louis?
Yeah, but I don't know if we can make it. Double check, ladies and gentlemen. Press 1 if you're still subscribed to Nerd Report. Officer Bob, you've been following our channel for a long time. Are you proud of us for growing? You're part of it, man.
You're growing into your pants, they should say, as they say.
Oh my goodness, we only need 30 subscribers. We could have a party. Yay!
Yeah. We could have a party.
Is that really it? You need 30 subscribers to hit what, 50,000?
I lied.
Or what is it?
29. 29.
Wow.
Yay. Well, we want that at one extra, just to give us that little.
Yeah. Hit the notification bell as well. People aren't getting notified. There's a lot of great YouTubers out there that are not getting the recognition they deserve. And there's a lot of trash YouTubers like what's his name? Joseph Morris. Who's been exposed, who make up shit and have 300,000 subscribers. What a shame. Robert, check this story out, bro. So we're talking about this deal with the Idaho murders. If that's not crazy enough, this is a sensational news. It's the stuff of movies. It's the stuff of a horror movie, actually. As a matter of fact, one of the moms of the victims called the murderer the boogeyman. And who else is the boogeyman? We know Michael Myers. And it's true. This does seem like the boogeyman, like Michael Myers. I mean, it's sad, but this is a real life murderer like that, man. Comes in there and does this horrific thing, right? So, man, I'm drooling right now. I just lost my train of thought.
Well, good, because Shannon Williams in the chat has a question for Officer Bob. Her question is, will this case be turned over to the FBI?
I think it is.
I don't know if it is or if it isn't. But if it isn't, will it be, given the magnitude of the case?
From what I've read, the FBI is assisting. So I don't know if it will be turned over entirely. There is a possibility. Again, it could be just because of the resources that are available for this small department. There is a good possibility that could happen. But I did read that the FBI is assisting. As far as what their role is, it didn't elaborate. But they could be assisting with, with forensics, with the labs, with the scientific portion of the investigation, whether it's, DNA, whether it's prints, serology, which is like DNA as well. So yeah, I just don't know if they would take it over entirely. They absolutely have the resources, but again, you have to think of it as whenever you have an agency that starts an investigation and an agency that takes over an investigation, it's not always a fluid transition between the two departments.
Why is that?
Because the investigative unit that's taking over may have questions about, did you do this? Did you check this? And if they come up short and say, well, at the time we didn't do this, or we didn't have this ready, or, no, we didn't collect that. That can be, it tends to become an issue. So if they do take it over, it may be almost starting at the drawing board again, where they may have to start over with the whole thing. But again, the FBI, you know, of course, they have nearly unlimited resources. So if it does come to that, I'm not saying it never happens, but yeah, it does sometimes happen.
All right. Well, listen, we are 19 away from 50K. I'm gonna start to wind down this stream though, because it is getting late. I know a lot of you are on the East Coast, and I really appreciate you. I really love you all for watching at this late stream. We will be back tomorrow as well, but I want to give Julie and then Officer Bob the last word, and guys, and as we get really close to 50K, oh my gosh. But Julie, last word.
Well, thank you, Officer Bob, for coming on again. We totally enjoy everything that you have to say. You're very informative, and I learned a lot tonight. And I guess what I'm going to say is we all need to be patient. We want this person caught, and we want it done correctly so they can be prosecuted and sent away for life.
Officer?
That's what's most important is just like I said before, it's your collection of evidence. It's ultimately leading to the facts and the evidence, which will, you know, ultimately show how an individual was assaulted or murdered. And then along with solving that case, the most important thing is bringing that person to justice and ultimately 100% getting a guilty verdict. That's the most important thing, is not only presenting your evidence to the DA, to the district attorney, but having enough evidence and being thorough in presenting that evidence to get a conviction on the case that you present to the DA.
I would like to add to that I do hope they get some sort of closure, some sort of like, hey, we got a suspect by Christmas time. But then again, I prefer it to be right. So yeah, if it takes longer, it is what it is. Let's check out the poll we did. The poll was, will they find someone before Christmas? Will they have a person of interest or a suspect? And it's 28-72. No, they will not find anyone by Christmas time. And it is what it is. Again, it's better they do it right than do it quickly and stuff like that. So, hey, once again, everyone who's subscribed to Nerd Report today, everyone who's new, everyone who's been with us as we finish up the year, I think we're going to reach 50K. We're like 19 away.
Can you
refresh
right
now? Let me refresh. Don't tell me you got new accounts just to sub.
We did.
You did?
No, one of our subscribers. Yes, 5 more.
Okay, we're 11 away. We're gonna keep it that way because I'm gonna go to sleep. You guys are gonna share this stream. Hopefully, the glare is finally subbed.
Well, I want to give a shout out to True Crime Tracy. Thank you, girl. She got her family members to sub. So thank you.
Actually, we lost a sub right now. Damn it. So we're 12 away. Fucking Bob. I think it was Bob.
Did I unsubscribe? I think I unsubscribed.
Officer Bob, what are we going to do with you? If you can't say subscribed, how are we going to trust you to, make good arrest?
Yeah,
I'm absolutely subscribed.
Oh my God, we got someone from Japan. Dope. I don't recall anyone from Japan here Tuesday listening. Thanks. Wow, 3 p.m. Yeah, the glare subscribe. Damn, finally, man. If you get the glare to subscribe, man, I think.
Yeah, read it, Lewis. He says he's been subbed.
Yeah, he's been subbed. Hey,
Yeah.
guys, go and check out the Glare's latest video. He's got special guest Slim Shady country rapper. What's it called? Ryan Upchurch. And man, poor Ryan.
Not poor Ryan.
Yeah.
No.
Well, the glare kind of like He schooled him, man.
He did school him tonight.
Yeah.
I watched that live. That was, Will did a great job over there.
Yeah, Will, man.
I have to get with Will because I want to find out how he was able to get Ryan.
Oh, he did because he was on the title of the video.
I want to know how he got him on there.
Because he sees his name on the video and he has to go in there.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
what he did? Well, he was an idiot anyway.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is and stuff like that. And oh shit. I just had damn it. I just had a Creek Squad person just unsubscribed. So we're 13 away. Damn it. It's okay. Anyways, and then also we're covering these cases. We do our best not to over sensationalize them and reirrigate the news that's officially out there. We don't mind once in a while, hey, they found the car. What's up with that? Maybe it'll be reported tomorrow that it is the official car. But if you're looking for this channel to be making up shit and accusing people randomly, sorry, that's not us. And we're not going to do it.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
Yeah, we don't do that here. I mean, we could, and then have 2,000 people watching, but we prefer to just keep our humble little community. Because we respect you. We don't want to lie to you. We don't want to Joseph Morris you. But anyways, be on the lookout for more videos here on Nerd Report. Nerd out.
Ma.